The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, glad to have you here. We've got quite a few attendees on, still got a few more people coming in. Just drop us a message in the chat to see who's here, see who's excited, see what you're most looking forward to for the webinar. I can see a few questions coming up. Hopefully you've got sound, Kevin. Frederick, Larry, nice to see you. David, nice to see you. Kenna, Johnny, Ron. Evening, good evening. Awesome, everything is good. Yeah, so this is just our basic holding screen. So don't worry, that will be disappearing in the next minute or two. Okay, Alice, noted that. We will probably have to go over that in the Q&A because we've got a few things that we're going to go over. Okay, a few other questions, but if you weren't available at the last one, basically what we do is we go through generally what we try to offer you, which in this case is going to be how to connect your DNS to an existing cPanel. So we'll be going from a brand new domain. I've brought that domain today. So I'm going to go from that domain, which is connected to a cPanel, control panel, which is standard web hosting where you would normally have your WordPress and stuff like that. And then we are going to connect that to Convertri. And then we're going to add the DNS records for email. Then we're going to go into Google Tag Manager, and following on from that, adding Facebook pixels, and then doing split testing with the Convertri. And then at the end of all that, we'll be having a deep Q&A where I can answer any questions that you need, and we'll go to make sure that whatever you need is answered. Okay. Just checking what time we are on. Okay, we're about 2 minutes past, so I'm going to start moving into it. Idea of how long this will last. The last one went 2.5 hours. So get comfortable, get a drink. I don't think this one will last 2.5 hours, but you never know. So be prepared. And I'm here to make sure that you see everything that we've planned out. Yes, there will definitely be a replay. Well, providing no technical errors. Okay. Okay, so let's get into it. So as I said, the first thing that we're going to do is going to connect with Convertri DNS from an existing cPanel, and also connect your webmail. So if you've got currently cPanel hosting, or you want to use cPanel for your email hosting, rather than something like Google Suite or anything like that, then this is how to do it. But this is going to be, if you're a person who currently has a domain, maybe you have WordPress or something like that, and you're thinking, hey, I want to go over to Convertri, and so you've got your current domain and you want to then pick that up, move it completely to Convertri, and also keep your email with the host. Okay. So this is a brand new domain. I purchased this today. So I'm going to go into my account here. So it's vertri.xyz. This is a brand new cPanel. Okay. So there's nothing else being on there. So I'm just going to access the cPanel. I recommend using Namecheap. There's no referral or anything. There's no direct connection with Convertri. So if you do use them, don't hunt Convertri down on my personal recommendation. But yeah, I do recommend Namecheap. They are very good for domains. They also help to support the internet a lot, so that people don't try to blacklist what people can view on the internet and stuff like that. The price of hosting is €1.30 per month if you buy it on 12 months. So we're talking about $13 to get hosting. You know, it's extremely cheap. Their domains are very cheap. They're a good company to have. Okay, so this is the standard cPanel, and we've got this Convertri.xyz domain. Okay, so I'm going to open up my Convertri now. The replays are posted in the help area here. Okay, so it's in this knowledge base, Q&A webinars just down there. Okay, so I am going to create a new funnel for this Convertri.xyz. Actually, I'll add the domain first. Okay, so to add a domain to Convertri, you go to your account. Now, if this is just teaching you how to suck eggs, I just want to be thorough, and it's going to be very quick. If anybody struggles, just ask me a question or save to the end. Okay, so account, domains, use Convertri with a new domain, and then just click add. Okay, so this is Convertri.xyz. I'm going to add that. Okay, now what you've got here is you've got your DNS records. So I'm going to go over to my Namecheap account and go on to manage that domain. And then we've just got the name servers right here. So I'm going to put in custom DNS. Okay, and this is going to allow me to put in my name servers from Convertri. So as soon as you click on it, it's going to select it, and then you can just paste it in. Okay. Or if you wanted to, you could just change that N number. I like pasting it in just so you don't get anything wrong. Okay. So once that's set, that's going to change this domain over to Convertri. Now, what I want to start doing is getting the DNS records from this cPanel. Okay. So what we're going to do there is on cPanel where your search is, we're going to go put in DNS there. Okay. And then go into this zone editor here. Okay. And this is specifically for email, but I'm going to jump into as well how you can actually use this to add a WordPress blog to your Convertri domain as well. So this is going to be useful information. Okay, so once we're in the zone editor, we're going to go into manage, Tom Lock menu app for Convertri. There is a feature request board where you can upvote things. So have a look in the group, or just make a comment in the group. Any feature requests, make a comment in the group so that they don't get lost, or send them to support. Okay. So what we're concerned about is, obviously we're concerned about mail. So we want this one, which is the mail. We want the SMTP. Okay. We want the POP3. Okay. And the IMAP. Okay. So these are all related to email. So anytime that you have a cPanel host like this, they will be all set up exactly the same. Okay. So you need the mail record, the SMTP, the POP, the IMAP, the auto config. Now this webmail isn't as concerning, because what this means is if you go to your domain, in this case Convertri.xyz, but you put webmail in front of it, it will take you to your webmail client. Okay, so all that means is it allows you to log in via a website URL. It's not essential. Most people never use it, but there you go. Okay. So you don't need to worry about this cPanel one, unless again you want to access your cPanel via that, in which case you could add that record. Okay. But as far as email is concerned, you don't need the cPanel, you don't need any of these calendars here. Okay. You need the auto discover. Okay. None of these cards, WHM or these calendars, any of that, don't need any of that. Okay. Auto discover, again, you'll need that. You'll need this default domain key, which is called a DKIM. Okay, and this just approves the sender. Okay, and then we've got the MX records here, which are one of the most important things to ensure that your emails get directed. Okay, so at its core, to write it down, you've got mail, SMTP, POP3, IMAP, auto config, webmail if you really need it, auto discovers, and MX records, and this domain keys one. Okay, and you'll see that as I go through in Convertri in a second. Okay, so now I am in the DNS records. If you didn't see that part, just go down to just check that this is still processing, but that's fine. I can add these records while that's still processing. It just takes a few minutes. Sometimes it can take longer. Hopefully it doesn't in this case, but we'll see. But I can still add records and show that how it goes. All cPanels will have these URLs. Doesn't matter if you're using HostGator or anything like that. If you go to the DNS, they will all have it. If you go to the zone editor and you view your DNS records, they will have these records. Okay. So we're going to create the new records now. Okay. So we go on create record right here. Okay. And we're going to just start at the top. So we've got mail. That's the first one. I mean, that one's obvious, right? So we've got mail, and the record that we want is this number here, and the type is an A. Okay, so type right here, A, and then the value is this record here. Okay, so that's the mail one done. Okay, then we're going to create another record, and the next one is going to be SMTP. Now, depending on how long you've messed with the internet, SMTP is really common because it was the first standard way that most people would add it to their phones and stuff like that. Okay, again, SMTP, a record, and this is the record. Okay, create that. You can see the record just popping up here. Okay, so the next one is POP3. Again, this is a really common way that mobile phones and other devices, whether you've had Outlook in the past or something like that, you will have heard POP3. Okay, so this should be quite easy to remember, or just make a note. Okay, again, a record, and there is the record. Okay, next is the IMAP. Now the IMAP is a later version of emailing, and it was basically where it allows you to control what's on the server as well as what's actually on your mail client. So if you delete something in Outlook, it also deletes it on the side of your mail server, so on the side of, in this case, your host. Okay, so there is the A record for that. Okay, and depending on which one you actually use, you may not need all of them. If you only use IMAP, you may not need these ones. Okay, but safe is not sorry. Yeah. Now this is also a mail record, so we want to put that in. This is the SPF1 record, which is important to make sure that it is signed, that it's actually come from the right place, that it's not been spoofed or anything like that. Okay, so this is a text record, so this is a bit different. Okay, so we're going to create this record, and then we want SPF, grab that record, and as you'll see, there's nothing in front of that one, so we don't need to put anything in the name field there. Okay, so that is the SPF record. You can remember that by MX record. If you see the SPF and you see that MX record right there, then you know that this is important. MX records are the core of making your email work. Okay. Okay, that didn't work. Try putting an @ in here. Let's go for a text. Okay, I might need to come back to that one in a minute. I'm not sure why it's not playing ball. They can, in some cases, be used as a text record, but I will, rather than just wasting 5-10 minutes of what you're looking at, I will refer back to this when the recording is completed. Okay, the type should be SPF record, and I think that if I remember rightly, Convertri needs the priority prior to it, and that might be why it's refusing it. But I don't want to waste 10 minutes just checking that. Okay. So the next one is this auto config. Okay. This is an A record. That SPF record, just for reference, it won't stop the email being sent. It's just a barrier to make sure that your emails are correctly from the right place. Next is the webmail. So again, this one, the webmail isn't a priority. But if you want to go to your domain, webmail.yourdomain, and actually access your webmail, then just set this up. Okay. Okay, so you can see all the records are populating down here. Okay. cPanel, don't need that. Don't need any of these calendar things here. We do need this auto discovery, and this is probably the most complicated one because it has these priority wait and port. Okay, so this is a SRV record. Okay, so we create this record. Again, the type is an SRV. So there is the SRV, that's the type. This is the name, as we can see here. The name is anytime you're looking before the dot and the actual domain. Okay, so as we had before, webmail or anything like that. So this is 00443 and then the actual target. So what we have to do, because Convertri doesn't have this enter the priority wait and port, but it does require it. Okay, so you're going to put in 0 space 0443 space and then the actual record itself, the target. Okay, 00443 and the target, and then create. Okay, which might have been the similar sort of case with the text record, but I'm not going to just bounce around that, but I will provide a solution for you guys if that isn't the correct solution. Card, don't need any of them, don't need the calendar. Auto discover again. This is a different type of auto discovery. We've got one here, which is with the line and the TCP. So this is a record this time for the auto discovery. Okay. A record. Okay. Now we've got this quite long and confusing one, which is the DKIM. Now, Convertri does have a 256 character limit. If you try and copy this all in one go, it won't work. So I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, this is a text record, and I don't think that was the reason why the SF reference, so that you understand. So this, and there is to have characters you can put. Okay, text record. Now if I grab all of this try and paste this in, click create, it'll say, sorry, that didn't work. Okay, it doesn't really tell you that the error is that you need 256 characters or less. So what we do is we split this up and hope that I'm just going to grab half of it and hope that that's less. Okay. Okay, and create that. Okay, so that one worked. And then again, we're going to now put in the other half. Okay, so we're going to put the name in again, and you'll see how this works in a second. I'm going to put text, and then I'm going to grab the other half. Now, what I did for my own simplicity, rather than just picking some random place within all of these ups and letters and capitals and non-capitals, is I picked after this plus sign because it made it easier for me to visually see where I need to grab it from next time. Okay, so I grab that from there, paste that in, and then create. Okay, now if you look at this, and I click the down arrow, it's basically showing that this record default dot underscore domain key, which is this one, now has all of this record. It shows that the two records are linked to that, and it goes one after the other. Okay, so that's how you set that record up within Convertri. Okay, so the final ones are these MX records. Okay, so for these ones, create record MX, and we leave this blank. Okay, grab the destination. You see here there isn't no record before the actual domain, so we don't need to add anything there. So we don't need to add anything to this name. What it is saying is the priority and the domain name that specifies a mail server. For example, 10 and your mail server. Okay, so we've got 10 and then the destination. So we need to put in 10 space and then the mail server. Okay, then click create. Okay, so we're going to do that for the other ones now. So create record, MX record. This one is 20. Okay, so we can see that this is priority 20, space, and then the MX record. Okay. I can't speak whether that DKIM record will be increased. There isn't, as far as I'm aware, there isn't no reason why it shouldn't be increased, and I can definitely put it to the powers that be. Okay. Okay, so this is the third and final record. So this is the third MX record. This is MX, and this one was priority 30. Okay, so it's 30 space and then the MX record. Okay. Okay, so we've got we can see the 3 MX records here. We can see the SPF record, which I'll double check on that, but that should normally do the job. We've got the DKIM record here, and then we've got these of the auto discover, auto config, IMAP, mail, POP3, SMTP, webmail, and we're all set up. Okay, so that is all of the records that apply to mail. Okay. Excuse me, and just grab a mouthful of water. Doug, I'm sorry that you feel that this isn't what you require, but this is what we planned for this webinar and was what was requested. But if you do stay to the end, I'll be happy to try answer your questions. For anybody else, I do try to answer questions when it comes up. Okay, but I'll be happy to go deeper into what you'd like me to look at. Okay. Okay, so that is all the records. that have been taken over now. Now, I just want to show you this. This is the private email records. So if you go to Namecheap, okay, so if you go to namecheap.com and you don't want to, if you haven't got cPanel or you don't want to use Google Suite or anything like that, and you want to have, but you want to have hosting, email, sorry, they have this private email hosting. So this doesn't give you a cPanel. All this does is give you private email hosting. Okay, it's 10 euros 71 a year. Okay, you get one mailbox, 5 gigabytes for emails, and I believe you can create as many different names for your emails as you want. Okay, so you've got 10 aliases. Okay, so you can have Martin at, John at, Tom at, all at the same domain. Okay, so if you wanted to grab something like that, which would be an example of something like G Suite, I believe this is cheaper than G Suite, 10 euros a year. If you want to grab something like that, then the private email records for that, and this will make sense to you, the private records for that are these MX records. Okay, so if we just go back to Convertri, these are the MX records that we added. Obviously, this is for the private email. So just to be clear, this is for the private email. Okay, but you can see in relation to what we've already done. Okay, so they would tell you to add these two private email records. They would tell you to add this SPF record. Just bear with me 1 second. Oh, mind, no problem. They would tell you to add this SPF record, which we added within Convertri right here. And you can see I did it as a text record, and you can see that they recommend to do it as a text record. Okay, so if you purchase their private email service, not their cPanel hosting, if you purchase that, they would tell you to do this SPF record as a text record. Okay, they would tell you to add this mail record, the auto discover record, the auto config, and then this auto discover and TCP. Okay, so this should look really familiar because this is what we've just done. Okay, there is the SPF, there is the MX records, there is the auto config, the auto discover. We've got a few extras for IMAP and mail, which they obviously don't need, which is what I was saying to you. You may not need them, but for sake of consistency, if the record is in cPanel and it's related to mail, grab it. Okay, so you can see these are the records that they would give you. Okay, so I think there was a few questions about what sort of can you write down what records you would need. You can search for this knowledge base, and it's private email DNS settings. So if you just Google, okay, so if we just go on Google and then put in Namecheap private email DNS settings, okay, and then the knowledge base will come up there, and then you can see basically what records you should be looking for within your cPanel. It was actually the second link. I think you could access it via that URL, but it was the second link. Just so you can see this exact article and just use this as a reference. If you haven't wrote it down, there's going to be a recording anyway. But basically it's MX records, SPF records, mail, auto discover, auto config, and that is the basics of what you need to set up your email. Okay, so I'm just going to, just before we move on for a second, I'm just going to, there's 2 or 3 questions that come in, so give me a few seconds to just read them. Yes, this is to how to set up email. So yeah, there is a recording, so you can catch up with these 10 minutes when the recording comes out. The recording will be available before next Friday, and it will be added to the knowledge base. Okay. No, Terry, these records here for the private email are separate. So this is a cPanel. So if you've had hosting before with a company and you would like to stick with them rather than messing up your email account. So if you come in here, or your previous webmaster or whatever has created you an email account on here, and like so many people, you've got 20,000 emails and you don't want them to magically disappear, then you will want to make sure that you just set up, rather than just disregarding your cPanel, you'll want to take the DNS records from within your cPanel so that you can maintain your existing email setup. Okay, so this is the process of taking your cPanel and applying it to Convertri. If you don't currently have an email host and you would like to grab the private hosting that Namecheap offers, they offer this private email hosting, very cheap, €10 for the year, and that requires these different records. They'll send you an email with all this. They'll send you an email with this. You can watch the last 10 minutes and just follow what I've done, but we're putting the different values in. Okay. Now, is there anybody who would be interested in me showing how you would add a WordPress blog into Convertri as well while we're here? It'll take about an extra 5 minutes. Okay, so that's a resounding yes. Yeah, Google Tag Manager, it is coming. Once we've done this, we will be knocking on the door of Google Tag Manager. Okay, so you've got a cPanel, whether you've got WordPress already, or you've gone out and purchased a cPanel, cPanel hosting, which is just hosting, shared hosting. Again, don't let me be a pain and get in trouble for recommending Namecheap. It's the company that I've used for the last 5 years. I recommend it, but it has no resemblance on Convertri or anything like that. It's a personal recommendation from me. Okay, very cheap, easy to work with. So if you did have one of these, or you already have cPanel, okay, and maybe you already have WordPress, yeah, but I'm going to go through the process of setting up a brand new WordPress in this cPanel and then connecting it to Convertri. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need a subdomain. And I'll tell you, if you've already got a WordPress and it's like yourdomain.com and it's already set up, I'll tell you that in a minute. Okay, I'll tell you what you would do in that situation. Okay, so this is blog.vertri.xyz. Okay, create. And patience got the best of me. Okay, double clicked it. Okay, so I've got blog.vertri.xyz. I'll go back to the home now. And right at the bottom, they've got this easy one-click WordPress install. Okay, so we can just go through the install process and select the blog.xyz. I'm going to leave it as HTTP. However, I would recommend setting up a SSL. I purchased this domain today. I'm not going to go through the process of SSL. It might explode people's minds. Okay, so this is blog Vertri XYZ. This can be anything, so don't focus too much on this. This is just a one-click install of Convertri. Just so somebody doesn't mess with what I'm doing, I'm going to hide that. The replay will be posted before Friday. Okay. Okay. I don't turn any of these on. and I don't select any themes or anything like that. So that would be about everything that I would do. Okay, select the subdomain, the blog, set your site name description, that can be changed in future, and then just set and remember what password you put in. Okay, and then that's install. Okay, now I'm not going to just instantly visit that because we have already moved to Convertri. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to cPanel, and I'm going to go back to the zone editor. So DNS in the search bar. Manage. And then we should now have a record for the blog. I can filter it here on the search. Okay. So these are all extra records if you did want to set up emails and stuff like that for the blog. You're not going to want to do that. So any of this extra stuff you really don't need. The only thing that you need is this A record here, which is blog, and then the record here. Most people do not use www. If you want to, then do that, but I recommend just working with this right here, blog.vertri.xyz. Okay, so we're going to go up to the records, create a record, put the blog in there, change this to an A record, and then the value is the number there. Okay, so this is the record for the WordPress that we've just set up, blog.vertri.xyz, and then the record is here, and it's an A record. Okay, and that's how simple it is. That literally is how simple it is to take your cPanel WordPress and put it onto Convertri. You need to take one record, which is this A record. Okay, if your domain is currently, for example, in this case, vertri.xyz, that's where your WordPress is, then what you're going to need to do is you're going to create the subdomain. Okay, so you would create the subdomain, you would go into there and add the blog.vertri.xyz. You would log into your WordPress, and then let me see if I can access. No, I don't think I've got one to access. But you should be able to understand this if you've been in WordPress ever before. It is, you go into WordPress, you go into settings, and then you would go to the first in the row and change your domain from vertri.xyz to blog.vertri.xyz. Okay, so that's going to change it from your main domain to your new subdomain. Okay, and then all you've got to do from there is go into the file manager. Okay, so all of your files would be in this public HTML. Okay, so all your WordPress files would be in here. Okay, so you would grab all of them and then put them into this blog.vertri.xyz. So the blog folder is going to be there. You're just going to grab everything from in there and drop it into there. Okay, you've already changed the database records, so from the WordPress admin, so that it's blog.vertri.xyz, and you've then, all you've got to do is follow the same process, add the A record directly into here for the blog. Okay. Just going, okay, with that said, just going through the questions quickly. Webinar will be available for rewatching. There will be a replay towards the end of the week. Yeah, Doug. So you've got the feeling right. By having this blog, a lot of people want to have a blog now. Convertri isn't currently in a very good position to try and manage a 20, 10, 50, or 100-page blog. It doesn't have the menu functionality. It doesn't have that sort of templating of header and footer and stuff like that. So it would be very complicated if you just want to post up blog posts. Okay, so to have a blog or to have a WordPress install would allow you to have that additional functionality where you can post your blog posts without it having to try and deal with Convertri for what it's not made for. Okay, and then your main domain would go to Convertri for your sales pages, anything that is important to your customer experience to improve your conversions, which is what we'll move on to shortly. That's why you want to use Convertri. That's why you should be here effectively. Convertri will help you to increase your sales over a WordPress install. Okay, but you may want a WordPress install for a blog. You may want it for a membership site, which I have a video series coming for shortly. Okay. So once you've set up all them email records, the way to use your email, okay, once you're in cPanel, you go to email accounts and you create an email. Okay, so with this hosting, which cost me €2 a month, I think, I can set up 30 emails. Okay, so I can set my username up there, set my password, and then that email is created. Okay, and then if you want to add this to other devices, so I can click connect to other devices, and it would have all of the details here of how to connect this to other devices. Okay, so this is the IMAP port, this is the POP3 port. This is all stuff that is kind of out of the scope of this, but it will guide you through. Say that you want to set this up in your iPhone under the mail client, or you want to set this up in Windows Live Mail. You just go on here and select it, and it'll give you all of the information that you need to set it up. Okay, so again, you can set up like 30 emails, or you can just access it via the cPanel. You know, you can just come in here and check the email. Okay, once you have your username and password, you go to this, what is called the webmail. So if you set up this one here, webmail, then you would be able to go to this, put your username and password in, and then log into this webmail client if you so choose. Okay, so that also has the email configurations in there. Okay, so that is the basic point of why you would do this, or if you've already got something like this set up and you want to maintain it. Okay, I can't speak for Convertri coming up with a blog option. I'd imagine some features may help a blog in future, but Convertri isn't trying to be everything, and I would still prefer it to focus on what it's trying to be rather than everything, because that will be the best product for everybody else. However, I don't run the business. I am customer success. Okay, so I can only speak for what I'd expect, but yeah, I don't foresee a blog option coming. I think some features like a site-wide header and footer coming up in future will help that, but I don't see it coming as a specific blog option. Okay. Yeah, Tobin, you are 100% correct. This would be the main steps for you to set up a Bluehost email. I know that they run cPanel. Any major host runs cPanel. So we're talking about HostGator we're talking about GoDaddy do it, but they're in their own fashion. You can still follow these similar steps. Okay. Any major host, SiteGround, GoDaddy, Bluehost, HostGator, they all have cPanel. A2 hosting, yeah, there's a lot. Loretta, yeah, yeah, 100%. Zoho Mail is another a very good service. Again, I'm not trying to pitch anybody on Namecheap. It's just what I personally use, so that's what I have the best experience. I have set this up for a client. I have used Zoho myself. If anybody knows what this is LastPass, which stores passwords. So I have about access to 3 Zoho accounts for different clients. So yeah, I do use Zoho. I can recommend them as well. Again, their pricing is very friendly, in the same sort of line as Namecheap. So, you know, different people. The records are already in Namecheap by factor of being in the cPanel. You are correct, but when we went through the process of changing the name servers, so when we changed the name servers here to Convertri, we obviously had to take the functionality that was in the cPanel and make it work with Convertri. Yeah. So once we change the name servers, the cPanel effectively does not exist. In layman's terms, it doesn't exist anymore. It's not connected to the domain. Any of the functionality like the FTP accounts, the email accounts, any functionality that is in cPanel does not function once you change your name servers to Convertri. The only way to maintain functionality is that you take records from the DNS and put them into Convertri for the functionality that you would like, which is the case of we wanted a blog, so we took the blog record. We wanted the mail functionality, so we took the mail records. Okay. Yeah, there is a free plan, 15-day free trial, premium, and forever free for the email hosting for Zoho. So if you don't have one and you want a free email, there you go. I wouldn't directly say that this information doesn't apply to Australia. I think most of them use cPanel. If they don't, DNS records is universal. Every server in the world has to have DNS records. It's basically telling the other computer where you go to get what you want. Yeah, so even if you don't see this in cPanel, you will see the DNS records somewhere within the control panel. Okay. No, this is not related to autoresponder integration. This is just purely for emails. Okay. The blog is just to connect WordPress so that you can use WordPress should that functionality be something that you require to maintain. So if you've already got a blog and you've got 300 pages on your blog, then I can tell you now that you do not want to import 300 pages into Convertri. You wouldn't be a happy person at the end of it. Yeah, so if you've got a massive blog or you've got any sort of functionality that you want to maintain within WordPress, then you want to go ahead and use your cPanel and connect it with Convertri, and then use Convertri for what it's made for, which is high quality landing pages that are fast and convert. Okay. Okay, so generally questions are right about. Happy to move on to Google Tag Manager now, and why you should be doing it, why you should be using Google Tag Manager. Okay. So Google Tag Manager is Google Tag Manager. So Google Tag Manager basically allows you to connect other pieces of code that you'll get from different places. So for example, I'd imagine most people know about Google Analytics, which allows you to track what your visitors are doing on your website. You may know about the Facebook Pixel that allows you to build up an audience of people that are visiting your website or interacting with it. You may use something like Hotjar, which allows you to visually see what people have done on your website. Now, we use, or I would say to recommend, the Google Tag Manager, because if we come in here, let's go with this split testing one here for ease. So if I want to, this is my funnel, I want to add some tracking script to it. Okay, so I want to add this funnel script, and let's just call it anything for now. And here is my code. Now this, actually that's the description. Here's my code. Now hopefully this doesn't break it by not actually being code, but if I save it, okay, now look at this down here. Remember, you'll need to republish your pages for any script changes to take effect, right? So anytime that you add a new script to this, so say that some chat bot has just come out, it's really awesome, you've gone out, you've brought it, now you want to add it to every single one of your Convertri pages, right? And you need to add that script to every single one. Well, you're going to use a funnel script, right? Because that will add it to every single one, right? So you go up, you add the funnel script, but then what this is telling you is you'll need to republish all of your pages for that to take effect. Now, depending on how many pages you've got, it could take you quite a while to republish all of your pages, yeah? So that's not something that you want to be doing, right? So that's where we use Google Tag Manager. Now I'm just going to check whether this domain is actually processed so that I can actually try and use this. Okay, so the Convertri.xyz is now active. I'm going to add the SSL. Okay, if you haven't done this or you're not sure, just enable SSL. It helps you improve your search rankings. It helps your customer experience. It helps that it doesn't look bad when people are viewing your website because it comes up not secure. You know, so just enable SSL. It's standard procedure basically. Okay, so I'm just enabled that now, and that's active and now secure. Even Convertri says this is now secure, right? So we will then create a new funnel from scratch, and I'm going to create it based on this Convertri XYZ domain. So Convertri XYZ. Okay. For the blog and any other questions for email and stuff like that, if I've missed them, I'll come back to them. But just for the sake of moving things along, I'm just going to keep moving along and we'll come back to them at the end. Okay. So this is now with the Convertri.xyz domain. Okay. And we are going to add the Google Tag Manager for it. Okay. So I'm going to set up. So once you've gone to tagmanager.google.com, okay, then you're going to create an account. For where you put the code, you can put the code wherever you decide, and I'll show that in a second. Okay. So for this one, this is Convertri. This is https Convertri.com. Okay, they don't want the HTTPS. Okay, Convertri.com. Here's Convertri. No, so used to putting .com. I forgot it was XYZ. Okay, so target platform. It's not an iOS app. It's not an Android app, or it's not AMP. So it's just the web platform. Okay, create that, and then they'll send you a load of words and stuff that if you want to read, feel free. You probably should. No legal advice to say. I am not a lawyer to say read all that stuff. Okay, so once it's confirmed that and you're in, it's going to say install the Google Tag Manager. Now it's going to say paste this code in the head of the page. Okay, so let's grab that. Click the little copy icon there. Go into Convertri. This is my Convertri funnel with the Convertri page. Okay, so I'm going to go into scripts, add funnel script, and this is the Google tag. So I'm going to just put G tag header. Okay, so it is over here. Yep, that's the head one, just to double check. So the script position, do we want it in the body or the head? We want it in the head. Okay, so that's what it says here. Put it in the head. Okay, save that. Okay, and then we've got another one to add. So this one is the G tag body. Okay, so I'm going to grab the next one down. This one says paste the code immediately after the body tag. Copy that. Okay, make sure it's set to position body. Enter that in there. Save that. Okay, so we've now got the body and the head for these two codes on here. Okay, so we are now ready with our tag manager. Okay, so anytime that we now create a page within Convertri, these tags will automatically be there. Okay, and what this means that if I want to add a tag into Google Tag Manager, so again, if you have that new chatbot that's just come out and you want to add it to all your pages, you add it in here, and then every single page is going to have that brand new script with one click of messing with this Google Tag Manager. Okay, so I'm going to go through the process of just adding Google Analytics, and then we will actually submit it so that it works. Okay, so new tag. The 50,000 foot view of what Tag Manager does and why you should use it is this right here. Remember, you'll need to republish your pages for any script changes to take effect. Google Tag Manager, once you publish it in the Google Tag Manager in here, right, once you add a new tag in here, it publishes to all of your pages. Yeah, so it saves you this process of republishing everything. Okay, and it makes it a lot smoother to remove code from pages, add code to pages, and make sure that it's all functioning correctly. Yeah, so it's a very powerful tool that will also save you a lot of time trying to republish and add new scripts to your pages. So I'll carry on with that new tag. Tag Manager is free, completely free. Okay, so it just says tag configuration to pick one. Okay, and there's tons and tons of tags. This is why you want it, because all of these different softwares that at some point in your life, somebody is going to say to you, have you got the Quora pixel? Have you got the Pinterest tag? Have you got the perfect audience pixel? You know, you should add them to your pages. And you'll be like, well, where do we even start? And you come in Google Tag Manager and you add it, you know, it's going to tell you how to go through that. Have you got the crazy egg, right? These are all important stuff. They are really powerful tools. Any of these like retargeting pixels, like Twitter and stuff like that, any of them pixels, Twitter, Facebook, there was another one on here, the audience one, wherever it's gone, perfect audience. To just sum this up, why you want a Facebook pixel, why you want a Google pixel, why you want a perfect audience pixel. When somebody goes to your website, right, and then they do something on your website, or they just leave right there and then, you are building up this invisible list of people that you can then go out and reach. So perfect audience, what they do, if you've ever been on a website, janescooking.com, and she's got an ad on there, an ad spot, and if somebody has been on your website before, you can put an ad in front of them that says, did you forget about us, or have you seen this? Just reminding that customer that you've got, you know, to advertise to them. They've already shown interest in your business. They've already shown interest that they would want to go further with you. They left at that time. I can tell you for certain, about 5% will make a buying decision right there and then when they go to your website. If anybody's looked at bounce rates of your website before, or conversion rates, it's very rare that you get something over that unless you've built a relationship up. Okay, so this is why you want all of these different pixels in place. This is why you want a perfect audience. This is why you want a Facebook pixel. Okay, because you can then go and get them off Facebook and bring them back to you with a different offer, maybe. Okay, so Google Analytics is the most common one because you want to know what people are doing on your website. Okay, so this is the one that I'm just going to go through, and we'll probably go through Facebook as well. Seems I'm clicking a little bit fast, and I need more patience. Okay, so this is the tag type, Google Analytics. What do we want to track? Page views, and then we're going to select a variable. Okay, so this is the tracking ID from within Google Analytics. So I'm just going to pop over to Google Analytics, create a new account for the Convertri.xyz. Want to measure our website. This is Convertri. It's a HTTPS. If you've enabled the SSL, like I recommended, Convertri.xyz, create. It's going to give me a nice page of text that nobody reads, and accept that. Okay. And then, so once I've set that up in Google Analytics, this is analytics.google.com. If you haven't used it before, then 100% recommend that you set up Google Analytics. Even if you don't set up Google Tag Manager, set up Google Analytics. What it's going to ask you for is just install this script right here. This is the code. Insert this into the head. So all we do is we go on here, add a funnel script, Google Analytics, paste the code, paste the code, and then put it into the head as it says, okay? And then you would save that. So even if you don't use Google Tag Manager, you think it's going to blow your head off with confusion, at least put your Google Analytics code into your funnel scripts, just so you can see the activity on your website. You know, Google Analytics really important. So going back to, if you are going to use Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager with Google Analytics, they ask you for this tracking ID. Yeah, So you create your account, analytics.google.com, free service, create your account there and import the tracking ID, and then just save it. Google Analytics, save. Okay, so it needs a trigger to fire. So we just want it to trigger on all pages. Okay, nothing confusing there. Save it. It's asked us to give it a name, so it gives us a name already. Okay, and now we've added it, and we're going to submit that. Right now it says what version name is this. I like to start with a version name that I can progress with. So I'm going to go with version 00.01, whatever. Okay, publish that. Okay, so that Google Tag Manager is now live with Google Analytics. Okay, so now this script is on this funnel, Convertri.xyz, this funnel. Now I'm going to create a page within Convertri and check that the tag is in there. Okay, and I'll be getting back to the questions as soon as I've done this. So if you want to pop any in there, feel free. So this will do. I'm not going to go crazy on what template we pick. So I'm just going to publish this page, and there's this little tool here which is called Tag Assistant by Google. You can Google this, Tag Assistant by Google, and this just installs to your Google Chrome, and this is just going to tell us that the tag is installed and it's all working correctly. Okay, so I'm just going to publish this, and if you don't know this already, if you leave the path blank, it will go directly onto your root domain. So that will be the URL for this page, Convertri.xyz, https Convertri.xyz. Okay, so if I don't add anything on there, that's where it'll be. Obviously, you can only do it once. Yeah. So I can now view this page and go to Convertri.xyz. And obviously we've got powered by Convertri in the corner, so we can see now the domain Convertri.xyz is functioning with Convertri, right? So now I want to just quickly jump back. Actually, let me just confirm the tag manager before we do. So we've got the tag assistant. We're going to put that into record mode and then refresh the page so that it records that the tags are there. Okay, so you can see on the little icon, found 2 tags. Okay, and it's got a little smiley face for Google Tag Manager. It doesn't need a smiley face for the Google Analytics. It just knows that it's there. Okay, but it's saying smiley face, Google Tag Manager is working. Okay, you'll notice I didn't do anything with this page. Yeah, I didn't have to go into here, into the pages, add scripts or anything like that. I don't have to come into here and add scripts. It was already done at the funnel level with Google Tag Manager. Yeah, if I come into here and add in, go back to the workspace and add in a new tag, I won't have to touch Convertri at any level to add a new tag. That is the power of the Tag Manager. Yeah, that is why it's so powerful for you to have. Okay. So you can see that the Tag Manager is in there and it's got a record of it functioning. Yeah, didn't have to touch anything in the editor at all to get it showing these. Yeah. So now that you can see that we have Convertri.xyz that is running Convertri, right? What I'm going to do is go to blog.convertri.xyz. And this will now, okay, that's the WordPress blog that we set up. Yeah, That is the WordPress blog that we set up in cPanel. Yeah, that is the WordPress blog that it was over here. Yeah, when we set that up, that's what this is. Okay, now if I test the web email, right, so we've got martin@vertri.xyz. I'll send myself an email. Oh, hope so. All right, send that. Okay, messages sent. Check my emails. Okay, is this working? Hope so. So you can see now we've done a full circle, right? You can see now that not only have we got our homepage on Convertri, we've got our blog on Convertri, we've got our cPanel email on Convertri. Yeah. Now this doesn't have to be the webmail. You don't need to use this. You can use it via your phone. You can use it as any other email hosting service. Yeah. But the advantage of cPanel is if you've already got it, well, that's a big advantage. And if you need to, if you want to do it on the cheap effectively, this is literally the cheapest way to have multiple emails with a lot of hosting space. Yeah. So we've gone full circle. We've got tags in there. We've got a blog. We've got emails. We've got it all functioning. Yeah. So I'll just take a few minutes to just refill my water, and then just read your questions as well. Okay, just going through the questions now. Sendio. Let me remind myself what Sendio is. Sendio is an autoresponder, isn't it? Yeah, it's an autoresponder. Yeah, so Sendio, if there isn't a direct integration, which I don't think there is off the top of my head, forms, autoresponders. Oh yeah, there is the direct integration. So Sendio, you would just follow through the integration process of just connecting that up. This is just emails. What we went through is connecting your email up. Yeah. Any tags I would recommend? I would recommend Crazy Egg or Hotjar. Show you what them are. Again, these are my personal recommendations, so don't get upset with Convertri if they aren't the best in the business or whatever, or you don't like them. It's my personal opinion. Okay. So Hotjar and Crazy Egg work exactly the same way. They record what your user is doing on the website. They create heat maps, and they allow you to view your conversion funnel, right? So you can see here, if they went to the homepage, then they went to pricing, then they went to register, and then they went to the dashboard, the process they are going through. Okay. Heat maps is something that I personally used to effectively double a business that was at like 50K a year. And the reason why was because I used a heat map on my sales page to see where people were clicking, where they expected to purchase or something like that, Right? So they were clicking, and then obviously it didn't work as a button, but they thought it was going to be a button to purchase, and then they didn't end up purchasing. So when I fixed these areas, or if I saw that they were interested in a specific area, or they focused on a doctor's recommendation of the product that they were buying, that's why they hovered over that area for longer than most people would, then I highlighted that area more importantly. Yeah. So that's what these heat maps allow you to do. That's what these recordings allow you to do. They allow you to visualize how a user would treat your website. Yeah. Yeah, these are all different services that you can pick out. So one of them is Hotjar. Crazy Egg basically does the same thing. If you use an email service like Drip, so this is an auto-response service which is called Drip. But what they do is they give you a pixel that you put on your pages, and depending on which page somebody goes to, they allow you to track their behavior and send an email. Yeah, so that is super powerful for Drip. So if you get somebody who goes to your upsell page but they don't purchase, you can then tag them within Drip to send them specific emails. Yeah, or if they purchase one upsell but don't purchase another one, then you can tag them in a different way. Yeah, there's quite a few awesome functionalities. That is why Drip has a pretty cool tag. You've got Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook pixel, right? So your Facebook pixel is really simple. This is just my personal one, so it's not used. So you come into Facebook Ad Manager, go to the Events Manager, create a pixel, set up a pixel, manually add the pixel to a code to a website, grab this code and put it on your website. Yeah. Now this can either be done again via the Convertri. Let's see if I go all the way back, will I end up in the right place? Close enough. So you can either add the Facebook pixel here via the funnel scripts. So this is just funnels, and then once you're in your funnel, you can add it there. Or if you've got Google Tag Manager, you can come into here, create a new tag, tab configuration, and then Facebook should be on here, unless they're having a lover's tiff. They may be having a lover's tiff. Yeah. So then it would just be custom HTML. Okay. So you can just paste the HTML in there. Okay, and then set up the triggers for it. So you would just copy the Facebook pixel and put it in. Yeah. Once you've done that, you can set up events. Custom conversion, create custom conversion. So now what you would do is if your URL contains --thank you, okay, so you would name this as checkout or new customer, whatever, select a category for it, so that would be purchase. Okay, so all of these different events you can set up with your pixel so that you build an audience. Now this is where we were going to touch on Facebook pixels. Have a Facebook pixel regardless of if you plan to advertise on Facebook right now or don't. Right, put it on your website today, because there's a snowplow company that I worked for as a client, and snowplow, obviously 90% of the year they don't run Facebook ads, but 90% of the year they have their Facebook pixel. They have it tracking people who added a snowplow to their cart but didn't purchase. Okay, so what do they do when the snow starts coming? they start advertising to all them people that thought about buying a snowplow but didn't because maybe it was just the wrong time of the year. Why are you buying a snowplow when there's no snow to plow, right? So in November, they start advertising to them people, and it delivered a 1,200% return on advertising spend. So for every $100, they were making 1,200 or whatever it was. Yeah, they were making massive money because they had a Facebook pixel. They built that up into an audience. They used these custom events to say, if this person completed this action, then I want to make sure that I track them. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an audience from from them people. Yeah, I'm going to create a custom audience of everybody who went to buy something but didn't. Yeah. So that's so important to have your Facebook pixel set up. Just going through a few more questions. Prices, if you go to the different places, Drip is about 50, and I believe Hotjar is about 50. Again, it'll depend on like your plans and stuff like that. I know Drip starts at 49, but you get an autoresponder in it as well as some really powerful tracking. It is personally the best autoresponder, but there is about 20, 25 or something like that that you can use within Convertri and instantly connect it. So 29 euros, probably about $30, $40 in US. Okay, I can look at that shortly, Alice. We've just got to touch on split testing to finish off what was planned for the webinar, and then yeah, just remind me on that. If a autoresponder isn't in the list, then you need to connect it via the form settings, which is just up here. Account, HTML forms, paste HTML form code. So when you get a code that says this is your form from your autoresponder company, you just paste it in there, and this works with a lot of functionality in companies that don't currently have a Convertri integration. I know that MooseSend is something that a lot of people have talked about, and you can paste their HTML code into here and it works. Okay. Alexis wanted to mention Migadoo. Very good for different emails, multiple domains, free plans, very reasonable. Haven't needed to move to a paid plan yet. So Migadoo, see if I can find it. So I do appreciate people sharing their different experiences of what tools and software is working for them, especially if it helps other people via these sign up for a free package. Yeah, pay plans start at $4 a month. So if anybody's looking for a different option, there is Migadoo, recommended by Alexis. Yeah, Ron. So anything effectively controlled from blog.vertri.xyz. So anything that follows that. So my blog post as an example, anything that follows that initial domain is coming from the hosting. Okay, from the Namecheap hosting cPanel. So anything there, even file name, .pdf. So if you wanted to upload PDFs to your WordPress hosting or something like that for whatever reason, or you wanted to upload MP3 files or whatever, they would all be coming from that subdomain. And then anything with Convertri.xyz from the slash, so sales page as an example, it is coming from Convertri. And just for reference, I don't recommend people calling their sales page, because you will get some upset people that don't instantly want to be sold to. Okay. You can only have one Facebook pixel per account. So if you have multiple accounts, you can have them in different niches, but you can control different events. So just to go back to Facebook, so where we have a create a custom conversion here, so if the URL contains niche to domain.com, then obviously you can track and have a pixel effectively dedicated to that from only one pixel. Yeah. So showing in Google a little bit outside of this, and I should move into split testing in a second. Showing your pages in Google is mostly just a case of getting it indexed. So you can do that via adding Google Webmaster Tools, which will help Google to crawl your website. They can give you a tag, or they can give you a DNS record. We went over DNS records, and we've gone over tags as well. So you should find that pretty simple. Again, I recommend that people get Google Webmaster Tools, because it tells you how your website is working on Google itself. So if you get Google Webmaster Tools, it will tell you how your website is performing in Google search. So it'll tell you if your domain is going back to the snowplows, if your domain and product is related to snowplows and you can be found in Google for snowplows, it'll tell you commonly that you were ranked in rank 8 or something like that. And because you were ranked in rank 8, out of the 500 people that saw you ranked at rank 8, only 10 people clicked. Yeah, so you can get good information via Google Webmaster Tools. Webmaster Tools, google.com/webmasters tools. That is specifically if you are trying to understand what is going on search. It will also tell you if there is a problem with your website or anything like that. It will send you an alert to your email. So that is highly recommended if you care about Google search. Yeah, which most people should do. Yeah, if you've got G Suite, there should be a under the help here. So on the help, there should be a knowledge base article on here for G Suite. Should be. Maybe it's under Google Suite. Maybe it's under email. I know there is one. I know that there is supposed to be an article about G Suite. So if you just want to post in the group, then we'll make sure that we find that article. I know there's supposed to be one about G Suite. Jonathan, yeah, I mean, the last two webinars were myself. Previously to that were Andrew or Neil that did them, which are the owners of the company. So it's a good place to catch up and watch the old webinars. All right. So just to keep things moving, we're going to go into split testing, which is the final part of what we wanted to discuss. Okay, in this webinar. So I'm going to just cancel this off so I can show you a split test. Okay, so when you've got a page like this and you want to start split testing, you're going to go to the three dots. I'll tell you why you want to start split testing soon. Okay, start a split test, and then it'll say, are you sure? And you press OK. Right, you're going to get two variants. Now, I'm going to tell you that variant A is the one that you don't touch, right? Don't mess with variant A. Variant A is your control, as we would call it. For anybody who has done split testing, we would call it a control. Yeah, so the control is the version that is already working. You already have some data about it. You already understand that I've got a 20% conversion rate from variant A, right? So no, sorry. Variant A is the one that you edit. Variant B is the one that you don't touch. Confusing message there. Variant B is the one that you leave alone. That is your control. Okay, so you don't edit this one, you edit this one. And the reason why you edit variant A, which is kind of backwards in a common sense, is you edit variant A because you can also import into variant A. Okay, so if you've got another page, so if I create a new page, and you can't import into variant B, okay? So if I just try to find that page, and I know there's more of them somewhere. Okay, here. So I'm going to select this one. Test elements. Okay, so what I'm just showing you now is that if you want to clone something into your test to be able to test something else, as an example, this here, you need to, it will only clone to the A version. Okay, so clone element to another page, split testing, and split test. Okay, so I'm going to go just put that at the bottom and clone that. So now when I go back to the split test page, even though there's two new unique versions, open up the split test, edit variant A. Now variant A will get that cloned item that I've just cloned, but variant B won't, right? So that is why you want to leave variant B as the control. You want to leave it as the one that you don't mess with, so that you have this ability to import. Okay, so that if you want to make a massive change to this page, right? So I want to test if I completely change this top part of this page by just getting rid of that section and replacing it with this section that has a video on it. Okay, I want to change it so that that is now my test. Okay, so I can save this, close it. So now my split test is split testing this version versus this version. Now, this was the original version. Always leave variant B as your original version, right? Because you can always import into variant A, right? And it's much easier if you have the ability to import to be able to test greater things. So why would you want to do a split test? Under what conditions are ideal, and stuff like that. So let me just go into that. Now, if you've heard of somebody who says, go and split test, they'll probably say something like change the button, change the get started button from red to green. Right now, that is a split test. You know, as taking this, let's just say that all I want to split test is this red to green, right? And see if that changes my conversions from 10% to 15%. It's not big enough. You can have a variance of unacceptable change that is just luck, bad timing, misunderstood data, just because of that change. It might add a few points, but it's not big enough to really warrant a massive change that will tell you, right, I'm going from 10% to 15%. And going from 10% to 15% is adding 50% more to your business, which is absolutely huge. And people don't really understand the compound nature of adding and doing split tests that add 2% onto what it was before. So if it was 10% and you've pushed it up 2%, overall you've gained 20% more leads. You know, so if you were out of 100 people, you were getting only 10 of them that opted in, but then it goes up to 12, you've gained 20% more people that every time you put them through, you're gaining 20%. If you then improve your sales page, so instead of 10 people buying, 20 people are buying, you've then compounded on top of that, and it just keeps going and going and going. And that's how you can make a massive impact on your funnel without having to try and change your Facebook traffic or trying to get a few points out of it like that. That's why you would split test, because you want that compound effect. And you want to, so as well as just going from, this is the one that we started with. So by making such a massive change, it'll either go one way or the other, right? This is how it was with the button just there, with the lady there, she's smiling. Okay. Now, obviously the text has changed. I don't recommend changing the text. Try and manage your understanding of like your text, your message. Try and maintain that, but make this so that, what's the main thing that I'm changing here? Instead of the lady being there, I'm putting in a video, right? That is the massive variable, okay? But try and maintain other variables. Don't just, you know, well, what if I change this woman here to a different testimonial? If you change too much, you're not going to understand what is doing what. And what that causes is there has been a case, or probably multiple cases, where people have run split tests for 6 months. So every month that they go through, they run a split test and it improves minor, but they're taking whichever option improved it, bump, and then suddenly, after 6 months of testing, it just goes boom and crashes. So it would crash, and the reason is because they didn't have a significant data, they didn't have a significant change that actually proved that one was better than the other. So what they were actually doing is they made a little change, and it looked like it was 2% better. It might have been 2% worse, 2% worse, 2% worse, 2% worse. When it finally showed up in the test, they did a long enough test. They've gone, right, we've done 6 months of testing. We've improved it by 20%. This page is awesome now. We can't do any better. So they run that page for a significant amount of time, let's say 2 months. And by the end of that 2 months, they've got real significant data. And the real significant data now says that their split tests were bad, right? They were making little bad decisions, that they didn't have enough information, that eventually meant that the tests were null and void, okay? Okay, so So if you've gone through that stage, again, focus on big changes so that you can identify, focus on making sure that you've got enough data. Don't just go, oh, 10 or 50 people have gone through and I've got 5 sales. That is not enough. You know, keep pushing forward to a point of I've got 20, 50, 100 sales. I've got 100 people who have opted in. And this is why you want to have a good enough page to start with, because you need to build up your business to the point where you can split test properly. Yeah, because if you split test on such small data, and this works with like Facebook ads. If anybody's ever tried Facebook ads and they've gone in one day, right, and they've created a new ad and it looked awesome, right, and the ad was perfect, it was 10 cents a click, everything was going perfect, and then the next day it looks like trash because the people were on a different day, right? It was a Sunday, everybody was on their computer, that were interested in your product was going out and having fun with their family. It's then Monday, everybody's depressed at work. It can change like that, right? It can change instantly like that because of the time of day, right? I had a dating client that did Facebook ads, and like the ads would be completely terrible most of the day, but it would be absolutely perfect from 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. in the morning, because that's when the women who wanted to find a date, wanted to find a husband or whatever, that's when they were most depressed and they went looking for solutions, right? So when that Facebook ad showed up at that specific time of day, it was awesome. But if you'd only gone on and looked at that ad between midday and 6 p.m., it would have looked like a terrible ad. You know, so make sure that your data is good enough to make a decision on. And I can't give you, is that 10 conversions, is that 20? It's going to depend on the situation. It's going to depend on how many days you've let it run. It's going to depend on what you're actually getting them to convert. Is it an email? Are you just asking for their email? Are you asking for a sale? There's going to take a lot more people to get a sale, you know. So before I just jump back into the questions, so say that you've picked a winner and it was variant A, okay, and you want to keep that as your winner, right? So you just click on the 3 dots and stop split test. What it's going to tell you is, are you sure you want to stop the split test and discard your page B? And it does it exactly the same if you stop the split test from variant B. Are you sure that you want to stop this and discard your page A? So it's just going to get rid of the other page, whichever one you click the stop on. So if I want it to be variant A, that's the one that I want to keep, then that's the one that I click to stop the test on. If I want it to be variant B, then that's the one that I stop the split test. And again, just keep this one as the one that is the original version, right? Whenever you do your split test, keep this one so that variant A is the play one. That is the one that you mess with, because you can import from other pages, which will allow you a lot faster execution as you import from different areas, okay? I'm just going to jump into the questions. Okay, Chris, I'll check on that, and yeah, I'll see what I can do regarding that. I was sure that there was one, but if there isn't, there definitely should be. Chris is talking about an article for G Suite, so I will look into that. Terrence, Google tag pickup quiz tree on Convertri funnel. If it's in the funnel and it's on a Convertri page where you've added it, so let me just go back. So we did it on the Convertri here. So if you're adding your quiz tree onto this home page, then the Google Tag Manager will show up on that. I believe that answers your question. Local marketing site, Ron. Yeah, I can take note of that. Yeah, it did go on a lot longer the last webinar, and we ran out of time. I will put that to note about that. It's not in the works currently, but I will note that that was something that we had planned. Yes, this is recurring. It should be every 2 weeks. And I will try and request topics within the Facebook group. Hopefully you're all within the Facebook group. So if you have a future topic, then, you know, when I request and put up that we're going to have a new one, then yeah, just follow up with what you'd like to see. Yeah, GDPR, cookie policy and stuff like that is something that I've dealt with. So I could definitely do it, either a training on it or a webinar. Let me local business funnel. We have GDPR and Google Suite. Okay, so I've put some notes down there for you. I will look into them. There was another question earlier about the DKIM length set to exceed 256 characters. Yeah, I can take general recommendations of what you would like to see, but sending them to support@convertri.com is the best way to ensure that they get to the right people who actually build the product and stuff like that. But as far as your success with the product, if I can help with that, then I will. And if there is something that, you know, you want to experience but it doesn't currently exist, and it would take time to code it, then I can definitely look at finding a way that you can do it with Convertri, or connecting via something else within Convertri, which is somebody has mentioned, well, quite a lot of people have mentioned a Zapier integration. I do have a video coming on that until we actually have a fully fledged Zapier integration. Yeah, Francis, Sunday at this time is to be expected. I don't see any changes to this time currently. Doug, I don't expect us, Convertri, to have a membership functionality. I don't expect it, but it may happen. I am shooting a video of how you can set up a WordPress one that won't cost you anything other than a cPanel host. I'll have them videos within the next 2 or 3 days. I've got it all planned and ready, and it's just getting a good recording. So, and it'll basically follow what we've shown you in this webinar, connecting to your DNS for a WordPress site, and that would be your membership site, and then connecting free via Zapier. Digital asset delivery, let me just jump into that. Yeah, I mean, just so everybody is clear, we are basically done with what the topics were that were expected to be covered. So this is basically where I do a Q&A and answer your questions and try to act upon what you want, what you've asked me. So feel free to ask questions that aren't specific to what we've been talking about, and I'll try to answer as far as I can. Okay. So PK was talking about how to digitally deliver a product. So what you would do in that case is you would have a form element, which is a submit, which is what this hopefully is. So then you go to button settings, change that to download, and then you can upload a file right there. Okay, so then you would just upload a file from your computer, select that file, and then as soon as they click on that button, they can download it. Now, if you want to, of course, take their email before, then you would have your autoresponder set up as normal. They enter their email, submit, and then you would have a thank you page where this button is, and then follow the same process, make that button into a download mode, and then just select your download file. Okay. That's a pretty, I don't think it's a feature that's spoken about much, that you can add files that you can download from the click of a button. And I think it's pretty powerful. The email from my webmail account to my Gmail, that was just literally me sending myself an email. This is just me putting my email address in, and I sent myself an email. That's how it showed up in my Gmail. But you can go through settings, and then go into settings there, and you can enter the details. So let me see panel. Email accounts. Okay, so there's no record there, but they would ask for basically these settings here. They would ask for these as you go through. When you're in your Gmail, go into settings, go click the little cog, click settings, accounts and import. And then check email from other accounts, and then just click add an email account. Put your email address in, and it'll just basically go through this process of asking you what is the incoming server, what port are you using, what is the outgoing server, and then you will have your emails like this one here. You will have your emails like that. You will have them emails that you can access from directly in Gmail. Okay. Any other questions? Feel free to get them in. Seems a few people are dropping off, and thank you for your time. I can see a lot of you who are dropping off have enjoyed it, so yeah, I appreciate your support. So if you're looking for the previous webinars or any sort of documentation that is on Convertri, it's on this help section here. When you're in your Convertri editor, click the help, and then there's a big knowledge base here of articles and videos and stuff of what has been done in the past. And then just at the bottom here is the Q&A webinars, and it says there's 15 articles there. Okay, so this is the last one that I did. And then the other ones that one was with Jim Rigney, which he's a common member in the Facebook group, and I believe these were probably with Neil or Andrew. So they're all worth a watch, but obviously if you do directly go to the one of 2017, then you may be learning stuff that is outdated. So try to keep to 2018, 2019. There is a Sendio one there. Somebody asked about that earlier. So there is a lot of information in this Convertri knowledge base. which is help.convertri.com if you don't find it. Thank you, everybody. No, this cPanel was from a separate host, which in this case was Namecheap. This isn't directly related to Convertri. The reason we're doing stuff in cPanel was just to show people how to connect their mail clients. Okay. And also we did a blog, so if you missed that, you know, there'll be a recording that you can catch up with. George, that is a bit more detailed, which I can't easily explain now on this webinar. I will look to either provide it for the next webinar or record a video for you. I'll put it on my magical list. Where's my magical list? Conversion tracking of specific button clicks, etc. connections. Okay, so I've got that on there for you, George. Yeah, I just wouldn't want to give out bad information. Not specifically bad information, but information that could be conflicted, as I can't just put it out there right now and get it clear for everybody, which is what I prefer to do. So I've noted it, and I'll find a way to get that for you. Joanne, no, there isn't currently a webinar on how to specifically get clients, but let me add that onto the list. Francis, not sure what you mean, all pieces of information tagged with the date of creation. Can you shed some further light on that? Yeah, Frederick, I'd agree with that. I can aim to improve that in future. Webinar recordings will also state what was covered. Yeah, good suggestion. The Pro version has Pro templates. So if I go on new page here, the Pro version has Pro templates. You can also create a contact form that sends the form details directly to your email. It also has video hosting. I think there's something else that I might be missing. I know that the homepage with what is stated for what is in Pro should be getting an update. Oh, the importer, of course. The page importer is with Pro, which allows you to pick up pages and import elements. You can pick up pages from other websites and import them as long as you don't directly steal. You know, you can use it to conceptualize what you're going to do. And then you've got this template club, which is all of these pro designs as well. So this would be on top of the templates that you get as a basic user. So there's a lot of designs here, and obviously a lot of work went into it. I don't think there's a massive difference in price between a normal user and a pro user. Personally, I would always recommend people go for pro, and it doesn't directly benefit me to say that. So take for that what you will. But I think pro is the better option for the minor price difference. But it's up to you, obviously. You know, there's a lot of templates, and the import feature is very powerful. The videos, and if you plan on using a contact form without an autoresponder, then that's a useful feature to have as well. Okay. So there's God knows how many templates there. I think they quote over 200 in the pro. Okay. Everything that we've discussed on the webinar is applicable to just standard users. Yeah, you don't have to be a pro to use anything that has come in this webinar. You can't, well, you can pass URL parameters. That was CB. So when you've got, am I in an editor? Oh, no. Let me just get back to a funnel, and then it's just a case of ticking a box basically. I believed it was possibly on that form field settings, but because I haven't got a form set up, but you should be able to see it to tick to pass your URL parameters from different areas. If that isn't in, if you can't find it and it isn't in the knowledge base, then just drop me a message in the group, and I'll get the information for you. If you do your name servers to cPanel, then you're only going to have your Convertri on a subdomain. So it would be like funnel.convertri.com, which I think personally is better to have it the other way around. You can find out what Convertri level you are on just by viewing your account, and it's in the bottom corner. So in the bottom left-hand corner, it'll say what type of Convertri account you're on. The Pro also has dynamic replacement of text. Thank you, Jeff. Gareth, if you're on Charter, then yeah, there is some limitations and there is some ways to get the additional Pro features. I believe Charter was semi-based on on the standard account, but you got like crazy limits and stuff like that. If you do have anything that you want to improve there, or anything you feel you're missing, then just drop support@convertri.com a message, and they'll tell you what it would take to replace it, to not replace it, because obviously you don't want to replace it, but to engage the additional features that you may need. If you have ClickFunnels and you wanted to paste in a Convertri funnel, then the best way to do it is the import feature, which is just here. You click import, put the URL in. So clickfunnels.com/URL, put it in there, tick the box, import it, and then anything on that page you can then grab the elements from within it. If you only want to grab certain parts of it, you can grab it, for example. So if we went into this page, so if I just select the header here and I select the entire outside of it, I can then just click that arrow down there and clone them elements to another page. So if you only want parts out of a page that you import, then that's the way that you do it. And just remember that while the importer is very powerful and its basic rights, it's not meant to be 100% perfect. So whenever you do import something, it's going to be there's going to need some level of work to it. Okay. Okay, we're clocking into about 2 hours now. And I'm going to need water again shortly. If there's any more questions that you want to get over quickly, then feel free, and then we'll end up shutting it down shortly. You can turn off you're talking about the where's my homepage? You're talking about this powered by button. You can either turn this off on a specific page level. Okay, so it's just here, the visual styling. So you can turn that off, say don't show. And you can also turn it off at an account level, which is just here on the affiliate. Okay, so you just untick that, show the powered by Convertri badge. Obviously, if you do get anybody that views your pages or anything like that, and they do click on the badge and then they purchase, you get something like 40% initial and then 30% ongoing. Don't quote me on it, but it's pretty nice to have because it is an ongoing. But I don't know the 100% of it. But it is something like that. You can get more information if you do need it. You're welcome, Terence. Very welcome. Importing a shared funnel from ClickFunnels, you would have to get the shared funnel within your ClickFunnels account. And I believe if you got the free trial, you could get it into your ClickFunnels account, then rapidly delete your ClickFunnels account after you've imported them into Convertri. I'm only messing. But yeah, that would be how you could do it, because you can't directly access the URLs without activating the shared URL to bring it within your account. So you need to get it in ClickFunnels, get the URLs, and then use the import feature. If you don't currently have a cPanel and you want to get one so that you can connect WordPress, go to any of the hosting sites. Obviously Namecheap is what I've recommended. I purchased that one today. I purchased the Convertri that we've been working on today. I purchased the domain and the hosting today specifically for that. You would just connect it up. You would purchase the hosting, set your domain as the so this is just as Namecheap. Use whatever you want. So they're going to ask you what URL. You would give the URL that you've currently connected to Convertri. So you go on get started. They're going to ask you use a domain that I own with another registrar or with Namecheap. They're going to ask you what your URL would be, and then you would be able to link it up and get the DNS records as we showed. Okay. I believe, Jeff, you're saying if there's something that you're not sure where it is, like a random panel or something like that. So if you've got something random and you're not sure where it is, in any sort of case, I'll just load this up. You use this display and then element outlines. And then the element outlines is going to show you this little pink box around everything. Even if it's behind this image, it would show the pink box. So if I go and click on this and send to the back, right, you can see even though that button isn't there anymore, it's not in front of that image, you can see that the box is around it. So you know that there is an element behind there because you've got this display element outlines. So if you scroll down your page and you've got something down here that you didn't realize that was down there, it'll have a pink box around it. And the same if you were in mobile view. Okay. Frederick, it's automatically, well, technically automatically registered as an affiliate. All you need to do is put your PayPal email in. I'd imagine they would email you if you did get a if your link was activated and you didn't have your email in. But just go into here, payouts, no, sorry, settings, and just put your email in there. And I believe it's after 30 days after you've got somebody who signed up and what your commission is, after 30 days, you will get a payment in your PayPal account. So the easiest way to move elements around, this is just something that Frederick's just asked, how to drag a group of pieces together. So you can either grab the panel behind them, okay? Anything that is within a panel, and this effectively a box would be counted as a panel. So whenever you see this, whenever you've got display element outlines, whenever you see something inside of something else and it's on top of it, then it'll move with it. So if these elements were behind it, then if you move this, it doesn't count. But because this is the lower element below this, because that's why you can see them. If this was on top of these, then you wouldn't see them. But you can see that it's below it. So whenever you have something that is on top of a box and you decide to move it, then everything will move with it. Okay. Now the other side of that is, say I want to bring in a new section, I would hit the shift key and drag this down. Okay, now what this has done, rather than just going on top of this box that was below it, it's dragged it down with it. Okay, the only exception here was this wasn't directly below it, so it didn't move with it. Okay, but it moves everything. If you hold the shift key, it'll move everything. Okay, so all of this automatically moved with it. Now if I want to fill this space back up with this, I just use this remove white space and it brings it back up. Okay, very welcome, Miles, and it will be, the replay will be towards the end of the week. Okay, looks like we are pretty much done now. There is one or two last questions before I drop off. I'll let you just get them in, but I think we're pretty much done. Welcome, Gareth. Thanks for being here. Welcome, Patrick. Welcome, Joanne. And yeah, we will see you in 2 weeks. Okay, looks like we're all done. Thank you, everybody, for spending the time with me. Get into the Facebook group, and if I see you in there, I will be helping you out. So, and if not, we will see you in 2 weeks. Okay, thanks, everybody.